hey Deere guy.
Hi.
Mommy want you to film me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Alright, we'll do a how-to video on a clutch. I haven't gotten that far along. If people want to know how to get them out, there's the PTO clutch. But all you have to do to get them out, where this clevis, where this control rod goes up and you put it in gear, you have to take your pin out. Because when you pull the assembly out, this has to go really far like that. Way far, okay? So you have to pull this pin out, and you have to take your shield off, I do. And I pull the drawbar out. It takes a 7/8 wrench to drain the oil, and it's a lot easier if you just pull the drawbar out. And then you dump the oil, and there's 4 short bolts that come through from the back. Here, 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 and here. And there's 4 longer ones that come in from the back. Take a 5/8 wrench. So all you have to do is take out 8 bolts in that pin, and you pull the whole setup out. And this one was slipping on the chopper, and it wouldn't adjust. I'll show you where they adjust. There's an adjustment collar. See that little screw right there? That screw sinks in all the way to these threads and then hides, and then this collar spins towards the clutch pack. So see how much space there was here? It was time for it to be adjusted, but it wouldn't because something's wrong. When that goes about halfway in, it just absolutely stops. So something's in the way. Somebody has screwed these threads up right here. So I took it apart to see what was wrong with that, and assumed as long as it's out and apart anywhere at all. I mean, look at that driver right there. It's like it's been trying to drive on one. So these all line up. See how they line up? And these 6 sets of drivers, or 6 sets of tabs, they go in that coupler, and that's what meshes the shaft from the engine, or the first reduction gear, and then drives this. And then this is your clutch brake. It's the last thing in. It's the hardest thing to get to. And there was actually a piece of this material hanging right out the side in here. So something like that has caused this, something's in there. So I can't adjust it. So I had to take it apart. They're real simple. All it does is, there's a gear down in here, and that runs this gear, sends the power out there. Okay? And it looks like for the second one in a row, I managed to not destroy the gasket, which is 14 bucks. So that's great.
Yeah, it is.
The last one I did on another 70, whoever put it in maybe glued it to one side, not the other, so it came out perfect. So that's great. So this should go all right. So you might think you need to pull this cap off. Leave that alone. You don't even touch that. All you do to rebuild these, unless you got other problems like that, is you take this little snap ring out, pull it out. Usually I take 2 clamps, those woodworking clamps that stretch way out. I put one here and one here, and I hold that, and that clip comes out pretty easy. And then you just keep pulling pieces out. All of it just pulls straight off. The locking collar, there's these 3 little balls. There's 3 springs in here that come out. And then there's 9 springs back here, and I'll show all that to you too, okay? So we'll get this over in a clean spot. I think in the book on the later tractors it said that you could make these tractors into a 1000 RPM shaft, and this is where you would do that too. You'd have to pull this apart and switch that gear and this, and then your shaft, and you could make these tractors a 720 and 30. I don't know about a 70, but I don't know. So, but yeah, this is, look at that. That's bad. It's like it was trying to drive with just that one, and they all got smushed. So, I'd say she's smoked. Okay? So let's carry it over there.
So given the right tools, we were able to just knock that pin right out. hanging onto it with the needle nose pliers, and he was so smart, he said, hit this with the hammer instead of trying to use 3 different tools and 2 different people. So what do you got going now?
Draining the oil.
Draining the oil. Okay, so remember to move the pan back if you need to. I probably don't have it in quite the right spot. He doesn't want my help. He's his own mechanic. Really, this repair has kind of stirred about. They've been having this bad PTO clutch, and the one at home, they took it apart to see if they could adjust it. The springs inside were mangled and broken. So rather than try to go find this or that, it's Sunday, it's the weekend, we can have these parts back there in a short amount of time and have him put that back together. I guess we gotta see what condition we've got here with this. Oh, Dad sent us with the 7/8. And this has a different size plug. Yep, you got an adjustable wrench. And if we need to, we can find a pipe and put it on the end for leverage, right?
This is not stuck.
It's not stuck?
Nope, there's only one right there, I can see.
Okay, because you already started taking some of those out? Okay. So in the meantime, while he's trying to get under there for that, I'll show you. Of course, you know, baby walnut tree growing all the time. The drawbar was going right through here, so we were able to take that right out and get it out of the way, because like I said, it's sunken down with flat tires and sitting pretty low. Even as a parts tractor, it has so many valuable parts on it that we do need to get this moved and get it out of here. We've had different issues come up with scrap metal people coming in and just taking things. You know, you wouldn't want wheel weights sitting on this out here because they would disappear, and that's happened with like Detroit diesel parts, unfortunately, in the past. So we had a little trouble with that drain plug, and we stripped it a little bit, and I'm not getting anywhere. You know, sometimes these things are just like that. And of course, you get like a half a turn. Here you go, Trey. We went to the shop and grabbed another set of wrenches so that we could work together. So, real easy. Took 2 bolts out here, took one there, and then there's these bolts on the back side that he says needs to come out also. So short of, getting into the drain plug, lefty-loosey, righty-tighty, but upside down and clockwise and counterclockwise, and obviously I'm not upside down underneath it, so it seems to me like I'm tightening it, and the metal is just too soft, so I'm not going to make it worse than it is. Trouble that I'm having is there's this drain thing here that somebody put in. I don't think it's original. Is it? The others don't have that. It has something to do with hydraulics, right? Like for a return tank. That's what I thought. Well, so what we're getting into is part salvage, parts savings, and just getting what we need today. Well, if he'd have come, he'd already be into it. So, you know, we had to stop. It wasn't working out, get some loppers and things like that. And of course, when you're in somebody else's toolbox, you don't know where anything's at, so it takes a minute. It stinks, doesn't it? Yeah. Our fingers aren't strong enough to do the finger untightening, so we have to just keep on wrenching because they're old and decrepit. So maybe if we just crack it open slow, we can...
There's no slow about it.
Well, it's dripping a little bit. I thought it looked like water, but... Why is there water in it?
Not being sealed.
Oh.
We just need to...
Wiggle and tap. Well, Dad was tapping on that one before.
Yeah, you didn't need to hold this so that way it doesn't fall down and get messed up.
I have to hold it.
Yeah.
With one hand?
2.
All right. We had a camera with a tripod. It didn't work out. So I'm going to set you up over here and see what we can do. Oh, there it is. All right. Okay, so I'm going to slide it out. And he has to be able to adjust that lever to let go of this collar. Oh! Messy, dirty oil stuff. Alright, you got those brass pieces? Okay, so because this is a parts tractor and we're leaving it here, I think I'm going to come back and seal this up with a garbage bag. He's got these brass collars. I think they're brass. And we didn't want to leave them here. If you lose them, it is part number A4570R. A4570R. So we're going to take those home, and I'll show you up close what this looks like. It wasn't a problem to not get the oil in there. No problem. That oil pan caught it fine, and it's about 1 inch deep, so no problem there. That oil pan caught it fine, and it's only about 1 inch deep. And look at all that sludge in there. Ugh, mud. But yeah, you can see we got 3-leaf stuff, we got 5-leaf stuff, we got some kind of pricker bushes, and let's see here, A4557R. I wondered if we should take that pin out and take that out too, but he says no. All right, so that looks good. We're gonna let this drip here for a bit, and then we'll put this into a 5-gallon bucket to take home for the waste oil, and we will get on with the rest of it. Just to show you the whole assembly pulled out, there is a small sheet of something, and he'll explain it better for you if he hasn't already, but it basically goes like a brake pad, metal, brake pad, metal, over and over, and they get so worn that they start touching and not adjusting like they're supposed to.
How it works is those prongs push that forward, squeezing these tight, and then it has to spin the PTO.
Where are the springs at that Dad was talking about?
In there, you can see
They're,
them.
oh yeah, he said they're inside.
You can see them.
Yep. Okay, so we'll take them home and we'll show it to you all disassembled.
We'll see if that stays, buddy. Main thing with these, whoop, trying to make sure they don't end up at the neighbors. Go fly. The way I do that is this. No problem. Not much of a problem. see how bad they are, dear guy.
Let's just go ahead and do that, dear guy.
There's 2 of these, and I think on a 70 of this serial number, there's like 9 sets of these. Yeah. Yeah, it has no clutch left. That's supposed to be... yeah. That's bad. Let me find the new ones and I'll show you how bad that is. Come over here, guy. Say another bad one. This is one that had that. This is that same piece that had some left.
So that's just down to nothing at all.
This is the one on the other side, had nothing. Here's some. These are the thinner ones. This is where your 3 springs come through on this clutch pack. So see, this one was really bad too. But let's find the new ones. This is where the movie cuts from today to 2 days later when we can locate the parts. And we'll have different clothes on and it'll be raining and stuff. Okay, we're back with you. Here's the part.
Five minutes later.
I just walked over and picked up the parts from my organized shop complex. Back with you. Alright, I'll be back in a bit. I'm going to go look inside. Wouldn't you know it, they were in the last place I looked. I was going to look further, but I didn't need to. So anyway. So we got... Eventually you can pull the springs out. And get them in a safe spot. My gosh. So driver, plate. We'll see how many they had in it. Eventually we're going to do one of these that somebody else did, and I'll bet you we'll find wrong number of parts and like happens, you know. Wow. What garbage. Supposed to do that. Right. Oh, I see. That one actually had some surface left on it, so they weren't sliding back and forth evenly anymore. Are you counting?
We'll count them when we're done.
Uh-oh.
That is not good.
No, that's going to hold us up. Hi, George. Oh, my gosh.
Mangled. Are we going to put them back to shape or get new ones? Are there some in this pack?
No, these are destroyed. I absolutely am in amazement. I knew there was going to be something. Why that adjuster, something was locked up in there.
That was it.
Well, I don't know. Okay, this is the part that made me take it apart. Somebody has, see these threads up here? They're all messed up. Somebody's been in there and something happened, so it couldn't be adjusted anymore. Yep, there's marks here. We're going to have to try to keep working because this is, of course, a Saturday evening, and I don't know who to blame, but somebody didn't order these when they easily could have just ordered those.
Yep.
It's probably George. But anyway, can you believe that?
Destroyed.
I've never had that happen. So, this thing just slides right off. And this is how you adjust your clutch. See, I don't see any reason that shouldn't be moving, and it is. So you screw this all the way down, and it hides down into the shaft, okay? And then this thing turns easily, but this one obviously is not gonna because of whatever. So we'll have to get into see what happened. And then these just pop right out. And then you gotta find them in the grass usually. For me. And then this comes off. Hi, George. And then this is the brake. And there's this little disc, and for some reason they have two of them. So obviously they're using these as shims. And that's like I've never seen two. This one has two, and it's always been one. But anyway, so this just slides right off here. Did I show you the new brake? I think it was the first thing in. There's the brake. So, these are all the drivers and whatever the plates are called. There's your new brake. And it's got a lining on two sides. So we'll see what we can do with it, because those I hope we can just get an assortment of springs at the store that will do that job, because
those are just destroyed.
It's almost like one of these slipped. Okay? That right there.
Yeah.
It slipped. One of the back further ones in slipped.
Bent and unraveled.
And then caught the backs of these and
tore them up.
Yeah. And sure enough, this is the last one of these I pulled out. So I cannot believe that this PTO has been running most everything we needed to do and only finally showed up on the chopper. Because
just incredible it lasted this long.
Reasons. So anyway, we'll have to figure something out about them, because I could have ordered them from somebody and never have seen them be bad. So, oh, and then when you peel these over and pull your brake off, there's 9 springs inside of this, and I guess we better look at those because of how bad this was. When you loosen these up, I'll show you, those 9 springs back there, this has pressure, but it doesn't just fly out at you. By the time you get these backed off, they worked it out, whatever, the pressure's gone, and this stuff just pulls out nicely. But this, I know this is junk, because when I pulled the PTO box out, there was a piece of, oh, well, there's no lining there at all. So the brake's junk, but it was working. So obviously there's some brake pad left on the other side of this, maybe. This one still has pressure. Maybe I'm not far enough. Yeah. Usually they don't seem to. Man. These are special tools I bought just for these tractors here, as you can see, because we're professionals. What do you think? Right in there?
Wherever you can get the most surface on the clutch pad.
That's gonna do it.
Okay. Do you even need the second one?
Probably. It's going in flat. Eh. Okay. Okay. So
What are these little pieces of sheet metal on them for?
those are a lock. See, these were wrapped around here. See that little bend? That was wrapped around like this. And then when you get your nut tight, this was wrapped around like this. You just didn't see it. I bent them over with the screwdriver. So that's what. And then these shims, everyone I've ever had apart, they always seem to, see, they pull out. They're not all the way around.
Yeah.
These always seem to be put in from the top and on these holes every time. So I never really have to do much to remember that. They're always, seems to be how it works. And then, yeah, there is a little pad left on the, no, I'm wrong. Totally gone, and it was still working. I thought there'd be some pad left on that. Well, so let me back this off. So there's 9 springs back here. So this little guy was right here, facing clockwise, like that. So, but you got it on film.
Yep.
Okay, there's that. And should be a big washer that. So that's that. And that bearing are not as good as the ones I've been doing. Okay, so now we'll go in and figure out about these.
There.
Okay, the reason we took this clutch apart, like I said, was I could not get this screw to hide. It felt like something was behind it, like debris. So I took the collar off, screwed it in, and it pushed out this plug of like particles from these. It's shiny metallic and it's hard. So what it did, it slowly found a spot. So since the shaft was in the way, when I was trying to hide that screw, it couldn't go anymore, no matter, I mean, I was going to break it before it would go. So that's what, so now that the shaft is gone, I pushed on it. Here's what we found. It's like a metallic plug of worn out metal. So now we can get that cleaned up. I think somebody before us had a little trouble and kind of did a number on this deal. We'll try to get that. We don't really need those threads right now because we're actually at this point going to be backing it out away. But it's going to, when these all get worn, I mean, these were destroyed before the collar ever had to get to those threads anyway. Your parts are totally gone before you have to adjust it, because see, it comes way back. So that might not be an issue. I think they were in there with something trying to get, I think they were trying to get this to go when that screw was in the way for them too, and they kept hitting this. So we'll see if we can get this apart and get it all cleaned up and get all that metal out of it, because this was a mess. Surprising how bad this was. There's more of that same stuff. Bad deal. So, okay. Man, that's not happy about moving at all. In bad shape. I'm gonna get this to come right out of there. Yep. You get different thing to hit that with. Little material coming out of the threads right here. They're just piles of stuff cleaning off these threads as I'm turning this. You get that oil can. This old stuff acts like it's old. I don't get it.
How dare it?
Well, if this is I don't know how many times it's been done, but if all of our 70s are the last year, they're all like 36, 37, 38,000 serial number. And if that was 1950s, 5 or 6, I guess I don't know, but I think ours are probably all about 66 years old. But this, I'm sure, was done earlier in their life when they were used like we like them.
Mm-hmm.
Then they have this big section in their middle where they didn't get used hard, but we use them a lot. All right. Well, now we can get that buffed up and cleaned up. So take a good picture of that. So the set screw is on this side, and this collar comes in from this side, because we might forget. Or maybe it won't even let you thread it over here. I don't know. It doesn't look like that's a very nice starter thread. So you probably cannot do it wrong. But if anybody can, it'd be us.
Okay, so we're back home. There's the PTO parts that we picked up. And these are the springs that we were after. And these are the springs from the other tractor.
Now I can get it back together and go back to work. We'll probably just order a set of them, because everything inside that 60 PTO looked better than most everything we've ever taken apart, with the exception of, I just found the 9 springs, and I don't know what the deal was. Every other one of these has another spring on the inside, like a stiffener, every other one. And this one is broke. That whole spring is broke. So there's a bunch of coils sitting right down in there. So obviously we need some springs for when this goes back together for something someday.
And is this called the clutch pack?
Right here.
Just this part.
So, but at least we have what we need to get that 70 going that we use all the time.
Mm-mm. Shipping label. Shipping label. So these are the parts that we ordered to rebuild the clutch pack. So here are some numbers for you. And all these little tabby rounds.
It just came as a kit.
Yeah. And I couldn't tell you where we ordered them. It doesn't matter, but you just get online and shop for the best price and fastest shipping and get everything coming. So nice, good linings on them.
This can go in the scrap. And just start putting it back together. Oh my gosh. Losing more crackers than they eat.
Georgie is spilling crackers there. And all over here, our Cheez-Its are getting lost. Bethy's smart. She and I had an apple.
See a horsey over there. Go riding a horsey.
Oh, well.
Over there.
Yeah. So, oh, that's why you said it's scrap. It doesn't have a pad on
The
it.
linings are gone. This is the new one.
Mm-hmm.
So that is done.
And they can't be relined.
Maybe, but the way it seems to be done now, and the only thing that's available is just to buy them new. So I'm gonna flatten these out properly.
Okay, we'll get back with you then. I was just asking him a question about this roller bearing. Here it's a cone-shaped deal. It's different on the 60 that I took it off of. This inserted into its own deal. So they are different designs slightly. They're all about the same year, aren't they?
That 60 is a super early 60 that you went and robbed parts from.
Mm-hmm.
It's so early that it's got the old style wheels and it doesn't have the power steering hole in the hood because power steering wasn't, I guess, even an option. And later, I think it was that you could get power steering or not later. If it didn't, it had a plug. And that one doesn't even have the option for the plug in the hood. So I can't remember the serial number, but it was very, very early 60. Different wheels, a bunch of stuff looked different on them. And
So on decals or lettering, when it says power steering, it was an option. So they lettered it.
it meant that tractor had it because maybe they didn't all have it.
Okay.
But that one, if I remember right, somebody said the earliest 60s couldn't even have power steering yet. So, and that one didn't. So the adjuster is totally different on that 60. But all we needed was the spring, so we're in good shape. Just a farm quality rebuild to get our working tractor back working.
Okay.
That's basically it.
I've been watching him tighten down his bolts, and I wanted to point out what I saw while he was doing it, so that if you get into one of these, that you do this part here right, because if it's that way, it's not going to clear this gasket on the side. You packed us a good amount of tools, and the pry bar helped, and the kid knew exactly what to do, and he's smart. We had trouble getting the cotter pin out, and instead of trying to hit the cotter pin, he had me pinch the cotter pin, and then he hit the needle nose pliers I was holding.
Did he use some tricks while he was there?
He did. Tricks you taught him. Okay, so now he's bending that up to lock it in place. Are you supposed to?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So the tab locks to the nut, then reaches over and locks to the body of something.
Mm-hmm.
And that's... So they were pretty beat up before, but I flattened them back out and using them again.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Leave them out for a minute.
I don't know if they make it, but a magnetic floor mat to catch everything you drop would be ideal.
Be pretty busy floor mat around here. There's this guy that works around here that drops everything.
So I dropped one of these springs and can't find it. So we'll save those parts, I'll label it, and we will probably save them for the other 60 that we brought a long time ago.
This is a spring-loaded button that pushes on your adjusting screw or adjustment locking screw. So that acts like a little button in there. This little screw comes in from the back side. And that was the whole reason for taking this apart, was that all this worn out material was in the way, so that wouldn't adjust.
Tried getting out of that one. That one got off. Maybe we should get off this wiggly thing. How going?
Basically need two tiny screwdrivers. One to hold the plunger out of the way.
Huh?
Mm-hmm.
You can't really do it by hand.
Why did you never mind? What did you never mind me?
Well, it's no wonder it wanted to roll out.
Alright, so now that is in.
Here comes the snap.
I'm only assuming that you're supposed to do this. This is the same kind of oil that's going to be in it.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know if you'd have to, but I just thought...
Because they're all oily when you take them out.
It's a oil clutch, whatever you want to call it. Wet clutch, wet brake. So it's gonna have oil. So I figured, well, coat them with oil.
Then they won't wear out premature.
So what happened to these springs is that other clutch was so shot that one of these fiber discs spun on the spline and took the end of the spring with it, completely shot. So I found the springs like this and grabbed the one that came out of the very back, and sure enough, I put it on the spline and it just turned. So maybe because all the fibrous material, the linings were totally worn out on every piece, that maybe it was really jerky putting the clutch, but it acted fine. This clutch was actually doing pretty good. And then we knew it was time for adjusting because I saw it slowing down a little bit on the chopper. And then we take it apart and we find out it's completely shot.
So it was making for a weak PTO?
On the hardest job we do, which is chopping, pretty heavy hay, and you'd get a slug of hay where the rake kind of, turn around the end a little much. And when it really needed to work, I thought the blower and everything, auger, was slowing down a little bit. So I'd look down, I'd see the PTO. I could actually tell the PTO was, so I knew it was slipping. I knew it was out of adjustment. but we had to take it apart because it wouldn't adjust, and that's the part that we filmed when you weren't here. It shows what was wrong. There was all this worn out metallic metal from these, and just these little fibrous things got behind the screw, so when I went to try to tighten the screw in to adjust this adjusting collar, it would just stop dead because it was packed metal. And so then, of course, we got it apart, and all the parts are junk anyway, so we just rebuild it. So what you have to do with these, once I get that clip back on there, when you put these in, these all have to be lined up just right, and you got to actually have this kind of tight on its own without even the lever working, and then back it back off, because you can't get your hands in here to hold these to slide it in that coupling that has the grooves for these. You got to have these held tight as if the handle's kind of up, and then back it off a little once it's back in. So, but first I've got to get this guy back on there. See, these all want to fall and do their own thing. So then you could never get it back in that coupler. But this is going to be 1,000 times better than what we had. It's totally done. So this will probably be a bugger. Not too bad.
So that's just holding them loose, not even tight, because
Nope.
I'm able to move it. All right, look how nice that looks. If on hand everything was here, you didn't have to have me run for the springs, how long would like a job like this take?
I did the last one, and I mean, when you're familiar with everything and how they come apart, and there's no learning curve on getting them out and everything, or what to do, I'll bet you could maybe a little over an hour.
Okay.
From dumping the oil out of the tractor, getting it off, getting it rebuilt, as long as you're not pulling races and bearings out of this other stuff, and it's truly just a clutch pack. Not bad. So they're not terrible.
Well, that's a lot of time savings over unhooking a tractor to do multiple jobs when you can have it hooked up.
It's more the money than the time. It's not a terribly. This was the gaskets, depending on where you order them. This gasket right here is $13 or $14, and a 70 diesel is going to be more expensive because, and maybe a 720 or 30 is more than this. I think they have one more or two more, so just it's over $200 to do it. It's more money to do this clutch if nothing's wrong. Say you're just buying the consumable parts. It's more money to do the consumable parts of this clutch pack than it is a 2-cylinder clutch. If it's the bare minimum on those, and you don't need a bearing, and you don't need dogs and toggles and all the different parts in the clutch, and it's just the wear parts, that's like half as much as these, maybe because they're so common and so many being done. Because how many of these tractors are, of the percentage that still exist, how many of them are going out and actually using a PTO hard? Because it's usually like easy jobs or show tractor, but ours are doing every bit as much as they were designed to do. I mean, a full, you know.
Okay.
So anyway, ours get a little more use than, there are other farms that are using them still, but. So I'm going to throw these in the scrap. That's going to get us a lot of.
That's where they came from for us. Just because I had the box here, I was able to show you. So what's next?
Now I'm going to tighten this collar.
And where does that one go?
That's from the 60.
Oh, okay. So put that with there.
I'm going to spin this collar until these don't want to fall at all. And then just get it shoved in. See? Just that little bit right there. They're all right. They won't fall and they won't move. So I'm going to line them up as good as I can. This way and that way. That'll make it a lot easier because you can't help yourself when you're putting these in. You can't reach in and do anything. So that is going to hold. Maybe I'll give it one more little shot, but that obviously is way too tight. That's like 1/10 of an inch too tight. Because when you'd go to hit your lever right now, there's no place, hardly any place for these to expand. So it's not tight like you're using it, but too tight to come out.
Mm-hmm.
So now we'll slide it in. The gasket's good.
He was more careful than me.
I don't think you wrecked one either, did you?
I think I did.
Great.
We're trying not to, but
Whatever.
you know.
So, everything looks good.
We had to use the pry bar and we couldn't have gotten it without it.
And then on this one, there is a fiber washer that goes on this that I left over at the tractor, and that fiber washer goes against this and that next mating surface. You gotta, I'm sure that serves a good purpose because it's in there, so you gotta make sure.
So I don't know if you guys saw all this with their filming that they did. That's the tricky thing. But this is where we were having a hard time on the other tractor right here. There's a post that the whole casting sits on, and Trey knew that it was there, but we tried to use the pry bar a little bit here and here and just kind of shimmy it off because, you know, you get all this goop around the edges and it was a bugger. Maybe we had a little suction going on from not being able to drain it. See, he doesn't have any of the sludge in here like the other one did at all. It's nice and clean and good looking. Yeah, I can see he's got a little deal right up here. Right there. So there's his gasket there. And you can see here, he did the same thing. He told Trey what to do. Disconnect that. So we'll need a new cotter pin for that too. I'll go get that.
The 60 we're using for a parts tractor, everything in the PTO is in better shape than everything on this. And that includes these, and they're the same part number. So, for instance, numbers are worn right off. That shows some wear on this side a little bit, but these show pretty heavy wear. So I'm just gonna switch them out.
Okay.
Because they're better, so.
Well, that one looks actually grooved.
Yeah. These they're worn right in the sides, and this one's, they both have wear right here, but this one's heavy. So since they're the same part number, I know it's okay to just use the better Mm-hmm. Better choice of what we own today. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that... I might as well leave that right there.
Yeah.
And try to get this thing set in. And then the tricky part is... That's why we pull the pin out of this. This fork has to go like super far. See? And we'll...
So do I need to hold that for you in a certain position?
Maybe. See that big groove?
Mm-mm.
It's way to the back. Now let it down. Get those in that groove. You might not be able to run your camera, see?
Let's see.
Right up in here. See this big collar?
Oh. Yeah. So lining this up isn't easy. He was having to have me run this lever to create clearance for those little metal tabs and get those little brass things into that collar right there. And he's trying to line up something in the back on an inner collar.
The whole collar in the first tab stuck or turned. So I'm having trouble.
All right, where's it hitting?
See?
Oh,
Turn.
yep. That one. Okay. So those all have to fit in to those grooves, right? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Now we gotta start all over.
All right, I gotta put you guys down for a minute. Well, it was a bugger, and it took a few attempts. If that clutch pack isn't centered on that center spindle well, it's not going to line up, and it took us a few tries to get it. But we got it. I walked away to get a snack and some milk, and he got it all bolted back together. Make sure your gasket's on and in good shape. Now he's just reconnecting his lever there with his cotter pin. Good little trick, giving yourself more space to work.